Hello everybody, this is TipTopMTG here today with another Magic the Gathering video. In today's video, I'm going to be going over the September 28th, 2020 banned and restricted announcement. So we've known about this for about a week, and I kind of retweeted it on Twitter, so if you guys aren't following me on Twitter, I normally don't do this, but there's a link in the description where you can check that out. I will post things that are generally not worthy enough to be in a video, whether it's just small little things like there's a ban announcement next week, or just other items like that, or maybe new secret layer announcements. But we are going to go over this announcement. So first off, the only thing that's changing is that Uro, Titan of Nature's Wrath, is banned in Standard, and I think this is generally a pretty good thing, and I think it would have been better for the format if it would have happened a while ago. I mean, Uro does everything you're going to want. He's going to draw you cards, ramp you, gain you life, he will be a big blocker, he'll be your win con, he'll be everything. He's your tech against mill, he does everything, and honestly right now, if you're running a blue and green deck, you're running Uro, and you know, I'm going to, without reading their explanation, because I've yet to read their explanation yet, I'm going to assume that it's because of the Omnath Lotus Cobra Genesis Ultimatum kind of deck, and I'm expecting that they're gonna essentially say, hey, we didn't want to like ban cards from Zendikar Rising, so here you go. And I know that's a pessimistic view, but I think that's honestly the truth, so why don't we jump right into this. We've been keeping a close eye on the emerging Zendikar Rising Standard format over its first week of availability on Magic the Gathering Arena and Magic Online. With millions of games having already been played on digital platforms, early data and results from events this past weekend have shown that multicolor ramp decks featuring Uro, Lotus Cobra, and Omnath Locus of Creation are problems in the new post-rotation meta. So yeah, this is very true. I mean, if you ask anyone, the deck that is most popular is Omnath. I mean, even moving into things like Historic, it's a pretty big deck. I don't believe it's bigger than Goblins at the moment, but it is still a pretty big deck. And then Brawl, it's one of the most popular commanders at the moment. So Omnath right now is really, you know, this powerhouse card that's going to be worth a lot of money. And it may be interesting to revisit my top 10 list that I did a little bit ago of the top 10 most expensive cards and see how they stand now in the new post-rotation meta. While Uro, Titan of Nature's Wrath was a powerful and contentious card in the pre-rotation standard environment, we want to allow the metagame to adapt to the last set of standard changes and the imminent rotation before making a decision on whether to let it remain a part of the environment going forward. This weekend's events underscored that the 4-color Omnath decks are dominating early play, and that even the decks built to try and beat those decks utilize the powerful Titan. So, you know, the decks that are trying to beat the ramp decks, the 4-color ramp decks, are also using Uro. Just everyone's using Uro, and this kind of goes back to my original point of, hey, every single deck that's blue and green is probably running Uro, just because, you know, it is such a powerful card. I mean, even ignoring all the text on it, you know, if it was just a 3/3, or sorry, a 6/6 that came in for 3, died, and then you had to pay 4 later on a later turn, it would still be decent. It obviously wouldn't be game breaking, but it would still be a pretty good card, and you add in all the other nonsense, and, you know, we have something like Uro. So in order to weaken those post-rotation ramp strategies, we're choosing to ban Uro in Standard. Our goal is to bring these decks down to a level where they are still appealing and competitive, but where natural metagame forces are enough to keep them in check. In general, we prefer this approach to overshooting the mark and removing an archetype from viability. Well, that's kind of what you did with Companions, but whatever. However, we've certainly noted that this weekend's strong results for the 4-color Omnath deck, and we'll continue to watch how the overall metagame adjusts in the coming weeks. So essentially what they're saying here is, hey, we didn't want to completely remove Omnath because we want that card to sell. We want Zendikar Rising with Lotus Cobra and Omnath to sell. And so they want to make sure that that deck kind of stays meta. So what they're doing is they're just knocking it down a peg. And also, kind of at the same time, knocking down the decks that beat it a peg, which is kind of funny. But yeah, they said essentially they're going to be looking at it in the coming weeks. So, like, I would not be surprised if we see some other ban before the next set relating to this deck, whether it's Lotus Cobra or Omnath. And if I were to have my guess, I would guess they would ban Lotus Cobra because I think it makes it much harder to design cards for future Standard. Because remember, this set is going to be the one that's legal in Standard the longest. And honestly, I don't know how broken Omnath and, you know, Lotus Cobra are. It's just more the amount of land ramp kind of things we have in the game. So I don't know what they're going to try and do, but I think that it would not be surprising if by the end of, by the time Call Time comes out, if Lotus Cobra is banned, especially because Lotus Cobra does have its uses in other formats. But yeah. It's unusual for us to make changes this early on into a season, but in this case, we're targeting a card that's shown signs of being problematic in the past and which continued to display its dominance during past events this weekend. Additionally, the speed at which high-level digital play attacks new formats, particularly when digital play is the only high-level play available, means that metagame advanced past the early stages far faster than they used to. And I'm going to stop here, but essentially what they're saying, and they're kind of just saying that because everyone's playing more Magic, and that's what they're saying. They're saying, when you go and you play in paper at FNM, you play maybe 3 rounds. You see 3 decks. So, you may not get fatigued of, say, 4-color Omnath. It may get annoying, but, you're probably playing like 7 to 8 games of Magic. Versus digital, it's very easy to just, sit down and win 15 games. So, and if you have like a 50% win rate, you're playing 30 games, so you're playing exponentially more. And because right now people can only play digital, people are finding and being annoyed by these decks sooner. We prefer to make this change now so that players can continue the most enjoyment out of our post-rotation standard, which is one of the most exciting times in Magic to explore and innovate. Finally, I'd like to emphasize that for this banned and restricted change, our focus was primarily on standard and historic. They say that this was focused on standard and historic, but I don't see historic anywhere in here. They didn't even mention, hey, here's why we're not banning it in historic, unless they meant to say it, but we had an announcement that nothing was being banned or restricted out of historic, so I am honestly not sure. I wonder if originally this was going to affect historic and they decided, you know what, just because of the 2020 season grand finals, we're going to ban this now and then we're going to wait a little bit for the rest. So we'll have to see. Changes to other formats, if needed, will be included in future updates. So yeah, I expect there'll be future updates. Overall, guys, that's it for today's video. First, before I really say goodbye, I want to say I'm going to be doing a second video today talking about their Walking Dead Secret Lair. And, recently I haven't been reporting on Secret Lairs, but this one is really weird because, well, we're getting some new cards we've never had before, and I know that's gonna make a lot of people upset. And if you want to hear about that, check out my other video. Link will be in the description of this one. Either way, see you guys in the next one.